All right. Hey, I'm Keaton Hardigan here. This is Crease Mechanics. I have my buddy Brock Schaus here. He's going to take us through stance, fundamentals, how to track pucks, how to drop, all that good stuff. All right, man. So first setup, show me your stance for a sec. So, I'll keep my stick here. So what we want to do is make sure, and try not to have that stick too flipped, okay? What we want to do is make sure that the feet are just slightly wider than shoulder width. Now, this may change based off the proximity of the puck and the given kind of threats back door, but feet slightly wider than shoulder width. You want to make sure that the boots are inverted inwards, all right? So he's holding the edge with his inside edge here. Okay, really gripping the ice with the balls of his feet, more primarily the ball of your big toe. That's what's really kind of providing the stability there. Shoulders, as you can see with Brock, eyes and shoulders are angled down to the puck. Okay, this helps us with tracking, balance, all that good stuff. And shoulders should be also stacked over the knees. A lot of goalies, they end up hinging with the lower back. So hinge with the lower back right now. And unfortunately, what you'll see, the guys' issues come from that is the hands end up coming too far in front, okay, because the shoulders dip. Usually the brow starts to kind of fall forward, and it's just fairly tough to have the knees drop properly when we're loading with the lower back. Two, could hurt you over time, and also the speed of the drop is kind of slow because, again, you're not using the power of those compressed and bent hips to drive the knees down. So again, eyes and shoulders angled down at the puck. Okay, let's talk about the hand positioning. So hands will be slightly off of the knee line, okay, slightly in front of the pads. Again, this may change if the puck goes from, let's say, top of the circle to more the bottom of the circle. Hands will usually be pushed out just a little bit more, but you still want to maintain elbow bend and a little wrist flexion, a little bit more wrist flexion with the glove than the blocker, all right, but you still want to maintain, again, a bent arm in general to create some level of speed and control with those hand movements. Okay, so get yourself back up in layer 2 stance. Okay, now actually let's even go through going from like layer 1 to 2. So usually we say layer 1 stance is a guy holding the puck at the top of the circle between the blue line top of the circle. Now, Brock, show me your stance as if the puck's at the top of the circle. Now, when he's getting into his layers 2 stance, as the guy is skating into more of the top of the hash marks, our butt goes back. We push the hips up and back. Okay, we get a little bit more flexion through the knee, forward knee bend, and making sure that, again, the ankles are bent, holding the inside edges. All right, so do that one more time, Brock. Layer 1, and then push the glutes back. Layer 2. Good. Now, naturally, what should happen, get back into layer 1, is when you're pushing into layer 2, the hands should come in front a little bit. Like you should see Brock's elbows peel off of the rib cage just a little bit as he gets into layer 2. What I usually recommend is kids have the same different distance between head and hands from layer 1 to layer 2. So it doesn't feel like their arms are kind of by their pockets, by the hip line, and then they drastically have to come in front. So show me your layer 2 stance one more time, buddy. Excellent. Okay. Now, we'll get some shots soon, but what we want to do is center up, shuffle low to the left. What we really want to make sure we're doing here with the hands, all right, is when the shot comes, we're mostly moving the hands horizontal, okay, from inside of our body to outside of our body, if that makes sense. We don't really want to have the hands end up kind of scooping for pucks, or we don't want to have the hands move kind of behind the body, if that makes sense. And one common mistake is you'll see a lot of kids, they'll flare, what I call a flare the wrist up. Okay, unfortunately, that does not allow the puck to go into the pocket that easy, and the wrist is relatively tight when doing that. So it just is tough. Yeah, it doesn't feel comfortable.
My wrist crack.
Yeah, and it's not a very easy way to create speed with the movement, if that makes sense. So, and the same thing goes for the blocker and the trapper. So show me your stance again, layer 2. Okay. If this blocker is moving, let's say to stop a puck just the side, it's moving purely horizontally. Okay. Rather than having this punch in front or having this rotation more back. That's, from my perspective, more from the shoulders opening up and rotating. Again, you want to make sure, so get back in your set stance, that the shoulders are stacked over the knees. And that allows us for optimal balance, optimal speed with all of our movements. Okay. Now, one final thing before we get shots, I want to make sure that the glove and the blocker angle really don't change too much. Okay, so I know this is tough on you to hold this, but bear with me. Okay, you want to make sure that this glove stays somewhat on the same angle while it reaches for, let's say, a low shot just below the knees. Good, and let's say a higher shot slightly above that pocket. Exactly, and it's the same thing with the blocker. We want to make sure that that blocker stays slightly on an angle to the outside of the body. All right, and we're just moving horizontally more through the outside of the wrist to really create that speed. All right, and strength. A lot of kids feel like they need to over-rotate the blocker. Unfortunately, what that does is it makes the blocker a little too skinny in this situation. We open up the armpit hole, and we also open up the outside of that blocker. What we want to make sure it doesn't happen is we don't, especially with the blocker, punch pucks to obviously less opportunistic areas. All right, so punching pucks into the middle of the circle, not ideal, creating another scoring chance or scoring threat. So we want to make sure, again, the blocker just moves to the side, whether it's higher or lower. It will more or less maintain that general surface area, maintain that general slightly open up posture or positioning, rather than kind of like, I hear a lot of kids being taught like opening up a doorknob mechanics with that blocker. Would not recommend that. So let's get some shots right now. Okay, and show them how it works.
All right.
Okay. Excellent. Two more. Excellent. Last one. Really good. Good. Tuck that chin a little bit more. Excellent. Perfect. Good job. One more. One more. Excellent. Okay. So I just want to mention this one thing. While Brock was tracking some pucks in, you can really see that he's tucking his chin to track that puck all the way down into the hands, or if it's into the chest, same thing. We want to make sure that goalies do not have an opposite head to eye angle. So the head, the mask, and the eyes should be on the same angle. Now, I do see some kids that have masks that don't fit properly. Your mask is perfect. I see some kids that the mask is almost sitting too high. So that's kind of tough, and you can understand that the kid's head and eye angle or mask and eye angle may be a little bit differently in that situation, but trying to make sure that the mask fits you properly. That sweatband is right across the brow, just above the eyebrows there. So making sure that that's obviously the way your mask is fitted, that will help. So show me your stance one more time. So really try to track that puck low glove here, Brock. Excellent, tuck the chin. Now what should happen here, okay, while you're going through that low glove save, is that lead hip, so the left hip should be bending a little bit more based off of that eye route. We want to make sure that the eye and hand route dictates what the lower body is doing. All right, now you can drop. Because we want to make sure that the eyes and hands always move first for those shots rather than the knees. And if we keep the hips nice and bent, we keep the shoulders stacked over the knees while we're turning the head, we should have a fairly clean drop. If there is a rebound, we are in a good position here to be able to pivot and power push to that rebound. Perfect. Okay, get back in your stance. So one thing here, too, is trying to make sure that while we're turning the head down to the puck, again, I know I mentioned this earlier, but we want to make sure that, one, we maybe don't push the chin out, and that correlates with, again, the eyes and head being on the same angle down, so get your eyes back down, okay? And we also want to make sure that the shoulders do not rotate. Sorry, don't sink the butt. Don't rotate. Okay, because now Brock, even if he makes a save, drop a little slow. I don't want you to hurt yourself. If his shoulders end up behind the knee line, he may give up space. So if there is a tip option, there is more space for that puck to go. And now if he power pushes, it's going to be a tough power push. He can manage, but it's not going to be easy, all right, because the shoulders are over-rotated behind the knees. So not the best posture to be in. Get back on your feet there, buddy. Okay, and just go through a low blocker save here. Same mechanics. You can go a little slower. Good. Hips compress. Perfect. Now do that one more time and go that slow. So what you'll see is you'll see Brock, as he works his way over top of that right hip, you'll see that hip compress. You'll see those ankles start to fold. And then when he drops straight down, great balance. All right, eyes are over top of the puck. And he has a slight lean again over top of that lead leg. So now if the rebound, hopefully the rebound goes to blocker side, now he already has that positioning and that weight transfer that will take him into that rebound as soon as possible. Perfect.